Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Open Up show. We have a very amazing person to share her life journey with us today. Before I bring her, I want to share a couple of things with you. My name is Sivam Velautham, and I am the founder and the president at Velautham 360. Velautham 360 is a non-profit organization founded in 2020, and it is based in London, Ontario, Canada. Voiceover 360 was born out of seeing tremendous need and stepping up to provide services to help support and overcome men and boys' life challenges. We are part of International Men's Day. International Men's Day has been serving for over 25 years, and so far, 95 countries around the world join together and doing various activities regularly. IMD follows 6 pillars, which is the overall well-being of boys and men. We follow in the same footsteps. Why open up? Because men, we do not open our hearts and are not willing to share our matters with anyone. When we keep our emotional challenges within ourselves for a longer time, at some point they will explode and it will affect our health conditions in many ways. That is why we want to create an open space and allow individuals to share their life journey through our platform. We aim to create awareness about the life challenges, struggles, ups and downs that our boys and men go through in their life. There are no limitations with the gender, age, nationality, or ethnic groups in sharing your life journey. All walks of life can participate. Our goal is to make a positive impact on someone's life through this program. Open Up is on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We bring an individual to each show and let them share their life experiences with you. Before I introduce our special guest for today, I would like to go through our disclaimer. Voiceover 360, we would like to remind you that Voiceover 360's mission is always delivered with good faith toward peaceful harmony. The views and opinions expressed in today's episode are those of our speakers and do not necessarily represent Voiceover 360. Our organization engages in discussion forums to offer inspiration and create awareness of the issues of men who wish to overcome their life challenges. We are not providing medical or therapeutic advice. Should you require that type of assistance, we recommend you contact a medical professional immediately. If you have questions or concerns about today's episode or any Voiceover 360 content, please email us at info@voiceover360.org. Like I said earlier, we have amazing guest today, Janice Poitras, suicide prevention facilitator, Indigenous career practitioner, senior consultant, education advocate, traditional knowledge keeper, apprentice. Welcome, Janice.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining today. Actually, it is a clear pleasure to have you. I want to take you back sometimes earlier. The reason why did you become a suicide prevention facilitator?
Okay, so first, I just want to acknowledge that I come to you from Treaty 6 territory here in Canada. I am from the Soto First Nation within Treaty 6 territory, and I am Cree. So I am Plains Cree, actually. And then here is my dog, Hugo. So my dog is my partner in crime. So why did I become a suicide prevention suicide? Why was I interested in suicide prevention? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So so to keep it simple, because we only have a certain amount of time, I have had two brothers commit suicide. So going through that trauma in my life and with my family and community members, and of course it's community, being like community of my school, my actual the community, the nation that I live on, even like my community of friends, um, trying to navigate that, trying to navigate through that as a young Indigenous person. And then of course with suicide, you don't ever really know the answer. um, I just felt there needed to be more resources out there. And so as I matured, and gone through my different life experiences, I thought I can be that, I can be a resource, I want to be a resource. So I have personal experience is why suicide prevention is really important and close to my heart.
Absolutely. It's. I'm really sorry to hear the loss you had. But there should be a reason, right, for everything that we come across. And now you are helping, and then that's the way. It's one way to heal yourself too, right? And then helping others too. So talking about suicide and prevention and things like that, what do you think, like the relationship, let's say this is, since this is a platform that we covered or focus more on men's boys issues, of course father's figure in our life is very important to us. So what do you can you share some of the memories that you had with your father, the things you know, seeing when you grow up, things like that influenced?
Right. So there's just been there's so my father comes from a long line of intergenerational trauma. And so, of course, some of that trauma he experienced through his own childhood and growing up, and then being intergenerational, he has passed on some of that trauma onto his own children. And so my relationship with my father has been like a roller coaster. There's been ups and downs. There's been some really great times and some really bad times, but he's always persevered, um, always looking on the bright side, an optimist. And I think I have inherited some of that optimism from him, and of course just that perseverance to move on, to continue trying to live that good life. And in good life, in my language, is called Pematsuan. So trying to achieve that Pematsuan. So my relationship with my father is really good. We have open communication, and and growing up, I always knew he loved me. He always made sure that we knew we were loved by him. So and it was just constant, like just saying I love you, which um, not very many children receive. But yeah, I have good memories, and definitely some lessons learned along the way. So I actually,
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah, I actually just saw him today. So
Thank you for sharing, because like you said, it is kind of like a blessing. At the same time, we do have like not everybody had the luxury or father figure in their life, so it's a blessing too. So I want to take you to a little bit on the other side, based on your experiences. Let's talk about your own community. What are some of the issues, problems that our fellow Indigenous men from your community have to face, and why?
so some of the biggest challenges Indigenous men have is, again, growing up with intergenerational trauma. So I, in my generation, one of the last few people that attended residential school. Definitely my parents attended residential school and prior to that. And so with that trauma to my people, so you're being raised by people who grew up with their parents and then forced into these residential schools. And so they come out of those residential schools and have families and children, and they don't know how to raise their kids, or they didn't learn some of the concepts of the different values that we have within our Indigenous language, within our Indigenous identity, such as wisdom and respect and relationship, because they were all not allowed to learn to speak about those teachings. And then also just with the language disconnect and the spirituality disconnect, the core being of like their purpose, right? And so we grow up being raised by survivors, and so with that comes a lot of other challenges and issues. And so depression being one of them, addiction. I know an inability to support your family or your children, lack of many First Nations are away from major centers, so like that isolation. And of course with isolation comes along limited prospects for jobs, no transportation. So there's hundreds of things, and then that's not including like the social problems like racism, systematic racism, police brutality, violent, just domestic violence. So a lot of there's just the challenges to grow up to be an Indigenous man are huge. And of course, there's the saying or the belief that men don't cry, and so trying to find that balance there. And then of course too, like within our belief system, and it's not necessarily about gender, it's about being a life giver and being a protector, life protector. So typically the females in my culture are the life givers, and then the men are life protectors. And so if you can't protect life, or you can't protect your children, or you don't know how to hunt, fish, trap, or you're not employed, then your purpose becomes questionable. And so there's just a lot of challenges for Indigenous men trying to navigate through all those issues.
Of course, I'm sure suicide is one of them leading cause, and it is very unfortunate. But how we can, or where we can start? What are some of the simple steps that, as an individual or as an organization, as a family, collectively, how we can or where we can start to help our men?
I think the first thing always is I like this saying, and I heard it in different platforms and different books and stuff that I've read along the way, is feeling is healing. So learning to identify your feelings and then coping. How do you cope with the feelings that are generated as a result of an incident? And because so then if you have a parent, if you've grown up with a parent who um, who has addictions, your coping skills you learn from them are really minimal. And so it's education on coping skills, coping strategies, um, talking about feelings, and in different platforms too, right? Not just in a formal doctor setting. We have our different belief systems, whether you're spiritual or practice different culture or religion. Reaching out to uh, individuals who are compassionate, empathetic, um, and have a true desire to help. And there's many of us out there. And so it's being educated about the different resources that are out there. And of course, social media is such a great way to learn about some of the resources that are available. So feeling is healing. So going through the feelings of different incidences and historically as well. So major incidences that happened as a child, even if you're 50 years old, um, it's never too late to feel. So
Absolutely. I agree. Couple of things actually, when we talk about going back to those reasons, or behind every man in the community, mostly in Indigenous communities, addiction or suicide or anything you take, especially the intergenerational trauma, it's severely causing everybody, right? It's kind of like a chain reaction, right? Everybody is affecting. End of the day, even though man is going through some kind of emotional challenges, but at the end, the women at the house, they are the ones suffer the most, right? So what the reason is bringing up is that when we talk about suicide and things like that, it's 78 to 80% around the world. The ratio is men. This is so high. So things like that. What of course, the helping mechanism is it's one is of course I think you can agree that creating awareness about their issues. It's the most important thing. Is the one we are doing right now, that we are discussing. Okay, what's going on in the community. That's one, but we had to do over and over again in many levels, as you said, right? It's we need it right now. It's not here and there or once in a while. It's we had to do more and more, right? So that's the way some kind of voices or some kind of awareness is being created, and then this way people can help each other, right? So talking about suicide and the prevention, what is your suggestion or what's your experience? What do you think, like where or how we can help when it comes to suicide, things like that?
well, it has to come from the different change makers, the different leadership positions, um, to come in and provide or support those initiatives that provide education, that provide services, and that provide those supports. And I think some of them should also include outreach. Outreach meaning like home visits. We currently, I see a lot of the services being really a one-way street where the person that needs help has to reach out. What about challenging some of our services to provide more outreach? So, the opposite of reaching out, right? So, we're out there, we're being visible, we're going to do home visits, we're following up on after different incidences. Making phone calls, and of course that face-to-face contact is so super important. We learned from the COVID outbreak how much isolation affects mental health. And so I can't advocate enough about increased outreach services out there. And so, and then accessibility, of course. So, in a lot of the training that I provide, there are organizations that provide the training like that, cover the costs, because there's costs associated with it, right? And so the two training services that I provide are, one is called Safe Talk and one is called Assist. And Safe Talk is 2.5 hours of training, and Assist is 2 full days, 2 7-hour days of training. And so oftentimes I ask organizations if they would purchase a seat or two extra. So I'm advocating if other people that I know that normally can't afford to participate that I might be able to bring them in to participate and basically piggyback off of another organization's training. And most are open to it. Some are not, and I do understand that. But I always try to make sure that I ask. So.
Absolutely, I like that idea. It is very, it's a great idea that having a more outreach home visit, that will help a lot of ways. Not only just one time or two times. It's very often, right? On a weekly basis, or a number of times in a weekly basis, or in 2 weeks bi-weekly. Something like that, right? At least we had to start somewhere, right? The supporting system, that the mechanism that we have right now is not really helping. So we need to look into that, and then we need to have more reliable sources, and then see how we can help each other, right? It's I don't know, whoever is watching, or whoever is on the other end, so at least they can, rather than waiting for government to come and help, that we can take some kind of initiative, right? Instead of waiting for others who can come and then take, or what, they can do it, I'm not the one who can do it. So I want to just want to get more details about the line of services that you are providing, actually servicing the Indigenous career practitioner, senior consultant. Can you share more details, if you don't mind?
Oh yeah, of course. So I talked about the two different suicide prevention training that I provide, and so organizations can typically contact me to provide those services. But in addition to that, I'm an Indigenous career practitioner, and so my focus there is to improve the quality of life of Indigenous people. And so there is this model that I follow called the quality of life model. And so it's very Indigenous specific, and it talks about the different challenges that Indigenous people typically go through. And it kind of adds intensity on relationship. And so the relationship between the career practitioner and their client. But what I've also changed the name of client in the model. And I actually refer to them as the relative or my relative. I believe everyone is related, and so I treat them as such. So if I'm going to say, so even just the word client has that negative connotation. And so if I'm referred to as my brother or my sister, or my auntie, or my, just refer to them as a relative, whether it's a title or even just my relative, that relationship is a little bit more meaningful. And so there's that piece, and I'm really passionate about that work. As a consultant, I work for an organization called Morris Interactive, and so with that organization, we talk about We help different communities do community planning, community comprehensive planning, health planning, um, uh, applying for different proposals, whether they're health related, such as substance abuse prevention, um, employment and training related type of proposals, so that they can bring those services back to the community. And so it's more on a community level that I do my work with, on the consulting side instead of individuals. And then as a knowledge keeper, it's just passing down different teachings that I've been taught from my mother, my grandmother, my dad, different relatives, and ensuring that other people have those same teachings and the same quality of teachings, and just having a personal responsibility to ensure that people who don't know, like, say, different ceremonial aspects of my culture, that they do know, like how to approach an elder for a certain teaching, what is the protocol. And I am more than happy to share that information to individuals who either reach out, or I might just have that conversation right then and there at that moment.
Absolutely. So it's good to know these things, because whenever we come across any services or anything that you are helping to your community, not only your community, but yeah, generally speaking, every community, right? So the service, and also we need to know about the person and what they are doing, right? So this way, people can get to know more, right? I just want to take a quick break, and then I just want to have a few announcements, and then come back to you. I have a few more questions to you. Okay,
Sure thing.
just give me a couple of minutes. Um, so we do have a couple of announcements that Open Up is on Sunday, as I said earlier, on at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Sundays. And then Willie is a Tamil Live talk show on Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And then a monthly men's group meeting only for men by men, second Saturday of every month from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time through Zoom, no recordings. Please join through Zoom. The link is available on our Facebook page and group. There are no limitations to gender, age, nationality, or ethnic groups. All walks of life can participate in any of our shows. If you want to be a guest on any of our shows, or willing to be part of our organization and help us directly or indirectly, please reach out to us. We would like to work with individuals, professionals, experts, community organizations, associations, corporations, government officials, and businesses. Our phone number is 226 289 8784, 226 289 8784. And then email address is info@voiceofmen360.org, and the website www.voiceofmen360.org. You can find us on all social media. Facebook, we do have page and group. Join our Facebook group. Please invite our others. Other social media platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok. Of course, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, VoiceOmen 360. We want to reach out more people, so this way we can reach out more people. And there are, of course, we have done over 500 episodes on various topics, so you can watch it and then get to know what's going on, what's our boys and men they are suffering, or they are getting, what kind of challenges they're going through. So coming back to Janice, any unforgettable stories or anything that you have? Of course, you lost two siblings But other than that, do you have any stories or any memories that close to your heart, that a person was impacted by an incident, and then how that affect the individual and the family, things like that? Any stories?
Oh yes, of course. Um, the 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 discussion or the incidences of suicide has not only been um, affected just me and my family. This is not a one-off thing, right? Many Indigenous communities are affected with suicides, and at one point, my own community had the highest rates per capita of suicides across Canada. And so it was a community, it was an epidemic. And so a number of individuals have participated through the different programming and gone on to write books, to share their stories. Um, and then in addition to that, there's one individual where he was suicidal himself, and his father had actually committed suicide, and so he had gone on to be an amazing athlete in the professional hockey world, and then went down a really dark, troubled um, life with addictions and domestic violence, incarceration, um, and to this day, he is now married with young kids, and he has written a book, or he had contributed toward a book with different stories. He shares his story, and he is such a great father and motivator for local community members. It doesn't have to be like a rock star or someone famous. This is a young man that lives down the road, and he inspires and continues to inspire men older than him and younger than him because of his natural athleticism. He encourages exercise, skating, lifting weights, running as part of his motivation to help others through his own coping skills that he's learned along the way. Just being a good role model and encouraging young adults, young men, to join him on his fitness journey. And during those fitness journeys, just having important conversations, difficult conversations, conversations that make you cry, and being really open and approachable and non-judgmental. That's the other biggest thing, is super non-judgmental. He will give you the shirt off his back. And so I'm really proud of this young man, and he continues to be a positive role model for the community. And he's not from Hollywood. He's not a major super movie star. He's not in the NHL or a professional type of sport. So, um, yeah, he's one that has survived suicide, survived several suicides of friends and family, and has gone on to live and still lives a really good life with his own family and children.
Thank you for sharing. Of course, there are the ordinary people. They make a huge difference, and then most of the times we don't notice or we don't get to know. But through this kind of conversation, we get to know. So I have two questions actually in the line of suicide and suicide prevention, things like that. One is, of course, there's one question from a listener, or somebody is watching, what she thinks about medication. So Um,
I am open as far as different Western type of treatment, but I strongly believe in keeping your options open. So I consider like science Western type of treatment, and that's where medication comes into play. And
yeah,
by all means, I suffer from lifelong depression, and I take medication every day. I'm not embarrassed to take it. It's something I encourage if it works for you, right? So there's different options. Some work for different people, but if it's not, there's not one answer for every single person. You have to explore your options, and Western scientific is not the only option. There are other options if it doesn't work for you. So um, there's times in my life where yes, by all means, I'll go see a doctor and get prescription medication.
absolutely. Yeah. If we cannot control or if we cannot manage, handle ourselves, for us, for the time being, at least, whatever the option is available, we had to look into that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other question I have is that, of course, when you go through, or even yourself, or in the class, or the sessions that you had and an experience, you come across with a lot of experiences, hearing a lot of his stories. You know, from coming out from the suicidal thoughts and things like that, blaming yourself, and then blaming others, or mostly blaming themselves, right? How do you manage, or how can they come out from those kind of mental battle?
So this is like from a person with thoughts of suicide, or the family member of a person with thoughts
A
of suicide.
person with the suicidal thoughts.
So how do you not feel guilty about being suicidal? Is
Hmm.
that kind of the question?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the blame, sometimes, or most of the times, people blame themselves, right? Okay, you
Right.
know what, because of me, everything happened, right? So
Yeah.
how can we break that, or how can we come out from those kind of mental challenges, though?
For me, the biggest thing is forgiving yourself.
Mhm.
You can't move on to a happy place in your life if you continue to beat yourself up over things that have happened in the past. Um, Things that have happened in the past, maybe you wouldn't do them today, but you're a different person every day. There's growth, people grow. I strongly believe in people learning and unlearning different things. And I think even unlearning is just as important as learning. And so if you learned a toxic coping mechanism, um, and then you realized, hey, this is not really helpful for me, unlearning it is just as important as learning it. And so um, yes, you did that. Yes, that's what the person you were back then did. But definitely forgiving yourself, um, not beating yourself up over bad choices. And the rest will come. The people who really want to be there for you, whether it's family, friends, or even strangers, will forgive you for things that have happened in the past. And that's what's called faith, right? It's having faith. And if we didn't think people could turn their lives around, why would we fight so hard to battle addictions? If we didn't believe that people could change, why do we offer different supports through, like, say, the criminal system, different types of rehabilitation treatment types, right? It's just having faith in humanity, and we're all human and subject to mistakes.
There's a one comment. Taking medication can make you judged. So you already touched, but what do you want to add on that?
With the taking medication, like I'm just thinking in terms of, for me culturally,
Yeah.
ceremony. Would I my first point of contact might be my first action item might be like a ceremony type of um uh, action within my own home. For example, we smudge. And so I might smudge myself and do like a little smudging ceremony. Maybe it'll be my home and my family members. And if that still doesn't bring me peace or where I need to be in my mind or spirit, then I might go into like a formal ceremony, like a lodge, a sweat lodge, or something like that.
I think the person, it's mean, the medication is meaning Western medication. I think, and that it's the kind of like the stigma, or
Right.
if you take the medication, or what, other people, or some people, or the family members, they will judge you, or they will think about this person
Okay.
weak.
So yeah, I guess the
Yeah,
negative.
yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's there's a word in Cree called kiam, and kiam means it doesn't matter. Um, so if say I had a sister who meddles in my affairs and she's asking, well, why are you taking this? I would say it's something that I feel I need to do, kiam. And so I'm telling her it's my choice. I decide what's right for me, and you don't have a say in this matter. That one word kind of says all that. And so it's having that self-confidence to know when some of these judgments or sometimes people just say things and they don't know better, or that's their normal way of responding to different incidences. And it's just having that confidence within yourself, building that confidence, and I guess that buy-in, right? The buy-in within yourself that this is what works for me and
Mhm.
this is what's right for me. And you don't have to tell people what it is you're doing at the end of the day too. Sometimes it's best to not say stuff. um,
Exactly, and also it is not their business, or it is not their thing. It's your personal life. You have to decide whether I want to take it or not. Because you leaving the world, or you want to harm yourself, or you want to have a better life and then help more people, and do good things in your life, right? Which one, you have a choice, you have option on your hand, what do you want to do, right? It's
mhm.
a personal choice, like you said. It's rather than thinking about and then overthinking, or about somebody else, or the society, or this and that people, or my friends, or my circle, or no, end of the day, it's your life, and then you had to decide what you had to do, right? It's good for them, right? Of course, the medication can help for a time being, for a maybe shorter time, at least, but along the way, you can find other ways to hope, or do things better, right? You don't have to take the medication for the lifelong, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, um, anyway, so the thank you, really, Janice, because a lot of things we discussed, and then hopefully we can do something together, that we can do more awareness, or we can do more programs that to in order to create awareness about the suicide, the men and boys, they are going through the life challenges in your community, and also across Canada, or even around the world, especially the Indigenous communities, right? So let's do our part, and then see what else can do together, right? So thank you very much for joining, and then willing to share your life journey with us today. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. There's a Cree word saying it's not necessarily bye. It's like I'll see you again. It's kitwamina. So kitwamina.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone, for watching today's our episode. The life journey of Janice Poitras is you learn a lot of things, and then I learn a lot of things, and then let's do our part, and then see how we can help each other. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us, and please share this information with other people, and then help us to reach out more people. Thank you.